Charles is a 50-year-old man who lives in Europe with his wife, since his 3 children are all grown. Charles was the eldest son of a large Korean family with a strict authoritarian father and strong mother. His father would come home drunk and chase him around the house for a beating. However, his mother favored him. 14 years ago, Charles relocated to Europe, where he became a self-employed businessman. Charles appears to be a well-liked people person, yet upon closer inspection he is dissatisfied with life. He frequently talks as if his life was over and his death was near. He still shows affection towards his family, but feels that efforts towards personal development and health are futile, which destroys his motivation. Charles even goes as far as to ignore his many health problems and lives in a way that aggravates these issues. He is putting on more weight as he has trouble controlling his appetite. He is smoking again and living a sedentary lifestyle. In addition, Charles experiences uncontrolled outbursts of negative emotion, expressing them through aggressive language and demands. His employees find this incredibly hard to work with. Charles is mostly unorganized and takes things as they come. However, when it comes to cleanliness, Charles becomes a perfectionist. He is impatient and uses verbal aggression when this perfectionism is disappointed. All this has become a stressor for his wife and thus is causing a strain in their marriage. In their arguments, Charles becomes defensive and feels his wife is attacking his character. This makes him depressed, which results in withdrawing from reality through sleeping, smoking, or watching movies. Freud's psychoanalytic theory believes there are 3 parts to the personality: id, ego, and superego, which balance biological drives and social expectations. The id is the selfish side, functioning on and demanding pure pleasure, while the superego is the righteous and moral side. The ego is the balance which keeps the harmony between them. A healthy psychological functioning of a person is dependent on the strength of the ego. A weak ego can result in fixation and harmful defense mechanisms. Freud believed that the entire human personality is formed during the first 5 years of life, where personality develops from external factors through 5 psychosexual stages during childhood, and each stage has a characteristic erogenous zone and set of conflicts. Fixation occurs when the crisis of each stage is not favorably resolved and causes the ego to have less energy available for normal adult functioning. Charles's personality could be explained in terms of oral, anal, and phallic fixation. It is likely that these fixations developed because of the strict and harsh environment in his childhood, which was mostly caused by his overbearing father. It is likely that oral fixation is responsible for Charles' uncontrolled appetite, smoking, and increasing dependence on his wife. People with fixation often express the infantile need of oral satisfaction through these areas. In addition, they tend to be overly dependent on others as adults. It is likely that because his mother favored him, she gave excessive amount of satisfaction to him during the first 18 months of his life. Anal fixation is likely the cause of Charles' need for control, as well as his fear for losing it, his perfectionist cleanliness, and disorganized disposition. This could be a result of traumatic toilet training experiences. Success in this stage leads to positive outcomes of self-control and mastery. When the need for anal pleasure is overly frustrated or overly indulged, the child can develop anal personality characteristics such as cleanliness, messiness, and rigidity. Phallic fixation also displays itself in Charles through his strict and overbearing tendency to require perfection from those around him. At the phallic stage of development, boys repress their desires and internalize the father's characteristics, becoming like their fathers. Adopting the parents' values and standards establishes the superego at this stage as well. Charles had an overly strict and powerful father, which could explain why his superego appears to have developed very powerfully. Charles' strong superego helps him to be the kind of sacrificial man he is, but it can also cause the part of him that is the overbearing boss who cannot tolerate a performance less than perfection. The second possible cause of maladaptive psychological functioning is the overusage of defense mechanisms, which act as automatic defense processes that protect from all forms of anxiety and thus are necessary for mental health. However, defense mechanisms can be unhealthy if misused or overused, which can lead to a distortion of reality. Charles has a habit of withdrawing from stressful situations and putting the pressure on his wife to handle these for him. To Charles, his withdrawal may serve as a way of expressing aggression, while he knows he can depend on his wife to get the job done. Denial seems to be another major defense in Charles. His doctors have warned him numerous times, yet his medical state must arouse a great deal of anxiety caused by reality in him. This can be seen through his frequent mentions of death. On the other hand, in daily life, Charles acts counter to this reality by overeating and smoking. His only given reason for these risks is that he feels fine. This shows an active denial of the idea of death and having health problems. An alternate explanation to his self-destructive behavior could be found in what Freud called the death instinct, where all humans have an unconscious desire for death, because only death can relieve all tension in the human mind. This instinct is often turned outward as aggression against others, but in some cases it is turned inward in a form of self-destructive behavior. Charles certainly engages in other defense mechanisms, but he more frequently relies on these two. Psychoanalysts would encourage Charles to seek psychoanalytic therapy to help replace his inefficient and harmful defense mechanisms with more effective ones, which would be better for his own health and the stress levels of everyone around him. One idea is sublimation, which would allow Charles to channel the impulse into socially acceptable actions. Psychoanalysts would also seek to strengthen his ego functioning by releasing the fixation in his oral, anal, and phallic stages.